Welcome into SportBet Extra. I'm your host, Paul Rami, here every Tuesday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. Today's a great day, January 14th, 2026. We have a great show for you today. Tons of NBA, tons of college basketball. So we're definitely going to get into that today. But we start the show the same way we do every day. We're going to get right into the overall record. Now, today's show should be a little bit quicker. I don't think this show's going to take too much time. There are a lot of interesting games, I would say, for college basketball. Some that just kind of stick out, don't make too much sense to me. So we'll get into those. But let's first start off, as we do, overall record. Yesterday, not the best day. 0-3 yesterday. Struggling a little bit in January to find the rhythm. Talked about it, how when we get into college basketball conference play, it's a little tough in this stretch until we get to late January, really February into March when we get into the tournament. So here's where we're at currently. College basketball total 94-71. So you see 0-3 yesterday. Boston College, no good there. We predicted 74-59 on the show. It ended up 74-50. Boston College could not hit a free throw to save their life. That's just the way it is. And the turnovers. The turnovers were just too much. Clemson is a good defensive team at home. That's just the way they are. Looking at the other one we had, Dayton Duquesne over 152.5. That one was lost. Really never stood a chance there. That one stayed low all game. And then Creighton could not cover the big number there against Georgetown. So we missed out on that one. We go 0-3. There were other games that we talked about that did do well yesterday, but we did not bet those. We talked about St. John's blowing out Marquette. Marquette just looks like a team that, like I said, Shaka Smart's just kind of not the guy anymore. Indiana was no good. I mean, I figured they were going to maybe keep it close. They kept it close first half, but then after that second half, they just got kind of blown out there. Seton Hall did keep it close and actually cover that number there. Oklahoma would have been no good as well. Nebraska easily blew out Oregon, like we talked about. So some misses, some good takes, just trying to really see where we find the edge. So we're not just throwing darts here and trying to find these games. So today we've got, like I said, some NBA. We're not going to talk too much about NBA. We're going to get more into college basketball. But when looking at NBA, right, I mean, Raptors at the Pacers. And, the Raptors team I talked about, this is a team where I was not going to bet them until RJ Barrett came back. And then once RJ Barrett came back, they've been doing fairly decent. I can't see what the actual record is off the top of my head. I don't have those stats in front of me either. But I remember they did go on a little small win streak there. With RJ Barrett back, they've just been playing better games, but better basketball, moving the rock a lot better. Laying at 3.5, though, that's such a small number. And, of course, with now RJ being out today, that's just the way it is. But that 3.5 is a very small number. I mean, no Mathurin, no Toppin for the Pacers. Really, you're just relying on Siakam. I don't know if I would like to lay the 3.5 on the road, nor would I like to take that with the Pacers. This feels like kind of one of those games where it's just sandwiched in between, right? So Toronto, they've been at home, go on the road for one game against the Pacers, and they come back home to take on the Clippers. It's just one of those games where are they going to really step up for this one and be prepared? Maybe not. Pacers, on the other hand, I mean, they're looking decent last 3 games. Nice little win streak there. I would not confidently lay the 3.5 with the Raptors, but I would see the Pacers. I can see them covering that 3.5. That's probably the way I would lean more, is the home dog. Again, just don't trust Raptors without RJ Barrett. With him, bet on. Without, bet off. That's the way it is with them. Cavs at the Sixers. Sixers land a small number, -1.5. Both teams, I mean, pretty much even, right? That's what that number tells you there as well. Joel Embiid, he's probable, so he's probably going to, he'll be given it a go, which definitely helps in the interior there. Edgecombe, I need to double check and see. He's probable as well. So as far as the Philly side and the players who they've got going. On the Cavs side, I know Dean Wade is out, not a huge impact there. But as long as Mobley and Jared Allen are in, this is going to be a very good game interior wise, seeing what they're going to do there. Embiid against the two big men for Cleveland. Fun game. I would lean more of maybe an under on this one. And it just kind of feels like a spot where they're going to try to get the big man involved on both sides. You're going to see a lot of blocks, a lot of defensive effort for this game. I would lean an under on that one there for the Cavs and the Sixers. Nets, Pelicans, really not going to get into that one. There's not much I like. Two terrible teams there. Take the Pelicans, the home dog, on the money line. Jazz at Bulls. As long as Giddey and Kobe White are still out, I don't know if I'm really going to be betting too much on the Bulls. Now, Markkanen, I got to double check with him. He's questionable for today. So if he doesn't give it a go, of course, you want to take Chicago there. I would lean the Bulls -3.5 just because without Markkanen, Utah really does not look like the same type of team. Yeah, the guys would like to step up. It is still a younger roster where they're still trying to figure things out. So without Markkanen, it's just hard to trust that Jazz team. I would lead the 3.5 for the Bulls there at home. Nuggets at the Mavs. Mavs, small number, -1.5 there. Yeah, I would lean that. No Anthony Davis, no big deal to me. To me personally, he doesn't move the line the way he used to as a 2-point, 1-point type of player. There's no line movement for him really if he's in or out of these games. So I would lean Dallas regardless there, -1.5. Just feels like a spot where it doesn't matter that AD's out, they'll be fine. Knicks Kings, really not much to talk about on that one either. Knicks laying the big number, -11.5. I mean, we know Sacramento it's such a random team. They can cover against great teams, get blown out against bad teams. I mean, what was it? The last few games, if you just look at what they've done, right? Get blown out by the Bucks, lose to the Mavericks, blown out by the Warriors, then they blow out the Rockets. Then you can kind of say blow out there the Lakers. I mean, they're just, what are you going to get from this team? No one really knows. I would probably be off them, especially with Sabonis still out. I just would not be betting anything on the Kings team because you don't know what you're going to get with them. Same thing, that's a crapshoot, no edge on that one. I just would stay away from that game, far, far away. Wizards at Clippers. Yeah, no, that's a pass. Nothing here for me that looks enticing. That's just a straight pass on that one. So NBA, again, we'll continue to do our NBA betting strategy. I believe we do have a play coming up on the 18th. I'll have to double check what I've got there. That'll be the next one we do have. But let's go ahead and get right into college basketball because there are quite a few good games here for college basketball that we can check out. Just to start, man, Butler, Xavier. I've talked about Xavier. I'm not big on this team, never have been all season. I would lean Butler, the small 1.5-point favorite here, coming off that loss against St. John's, loss against Villanova. I mean, they've just been on a little losing streak here once they've gotten to conference play. I would lean them here at Xavier. I'm not sold on Xavier. They still have a lot of problems. They're just very inconsistent with what they do. Yeah, they'll have a great game, and then they'll have one where they get blown out as well. Almost like the Kings, you kind of just don't know what you're going to get with them. And then if we look at injuries, I mean, nothing major for Xavier. Zay Walker, not a big deal. If we're looking at anyone else, nothing really stands out there. I would lean, like I said, Butler for this one. Just the rebounding alone is going to make a big difference. And defensively, they're just slightly better. So being slightly better, being able to rebound the ball and hit your free throws, that's enough to cover that 1.5. I would lean Butler there, -1.5. Iowa, Purdue. Iowa is, man, you know what? They're a tough team as well as far as what are you going to get out of them. But when you look at like the actual competition, what they've done, I mean, they haven't beat anybody really that good. I mean, lost last couple games against Illinois at Minnesota there. Yeah, they beat UCLA, but UCLA is not what they were under Mick Cronin a couple years ago when they had, you know, Jaquez and all these guys with UCLA. Uh, and just kind of looking at what they have done, I mean, who did they beat? Maryland earlier in the season, Ole Miss, okay, Xavier, we talked about. Other than that, they just have not been very good. Purdue, we know what Purdue does. We know they love to shoot the ball, they love to shoot the three, they love to move the ball around. One of the highest assisting teams in the nation. I just think that's going to be too much offensively for Iowa to keep up with them. I just don't think Iowa can shoot enough to keep up with Purdue here. I would lay the 10.5 with Purdue. Again, I know recently they have not been covering these huge numbers against, you know, Washington there, Penn State. But this feels like a spot. They should have no issue taking care of Iowa there with the minus 10.5. One I am liking, and this is one team I will continue to bet against as long as that player is out. But we're liking Kentucky here, laying the points against LSU. As long as Thomas is still out, this team is no good. That's their best player. You can see what type of impact he's had since he's been out. Their last 3 games, they've lost all 3 of them. Against A&M 75-72 there versus South Carolina, they lost that one. And then, of course, at Vanderbilt, but everyone's losing to Vanderbilt. This is another tough game. I know Kentucky's not ranked, not the Kentucky of the past, but they're still a team that can light it up. When they're hot, they're hot. I would lean here, Kentucky, laying the points. As long as Thomas is out for LSU, I will not be touching LSU or want it to be on their side at all. Scrolling through the next ones, we have a little, you know, quite a few mid-major games that are interesting. I may be on. You'll just have to see whenever the plays come out and go check those out. Colorado, Cincinnati. This line did not make sense to me. I know Colorado dealing with some injuries, but nothing they can't get past. And then even on Cincinnati side, Kriisa, I've never been a huge fan of Kirk Kriisa, but you know he's there, he's out. There's going to be some shooting that Cincinnati loses there. That's just a big number, and I know defensively Cincinnati is pretty solid, but I just don't see. I would not be comfortable laying almost double digits with Cincinnati, especially now that we're getting into Big 12 play. That's just not something I'm interested in doing. I would lean Colorado here. Again, this number does not make sense to me why Cincinnati is such a big favorite. That's most likely going to be the way that we're going to lean towards our free play is Colorado. But yeah, that 8.5, maybe 7.5 number you're getting now. Again, you're asking Cincinnati to win by 10 plus pretty much. I just don't see it here. Colorado just shoots the ball too well, much better than Cincinnati does, especially the 3 points, 3-point field goal, 36% compared to Cincinnati hitting only 31%. Free throw shooting, again, major thing that we talk about in college basketball here. Colorado, one of the best free throw shooting teams in the nation. Cincinnati, one of the worst. When it gets down to these late game situations, you need free throw shooting. Cincinnati's free throw shooting is not going to be enough to help them cover this number. We're going Colorado here on this one. Looking at the others, I want to scroll through, make sure I hit all the ones that stood out to me. Again, that Colorado one was the major one that really stood out. I like Kansas State -1.5 against UCF. This is another one of those that really doesn't make sense. UCF is the much better team, but Kansas State is gritty. They've played very tough teams recently, especially Big 12 against BYU there, on the road at Arizona, not easy, and then back at Arizona State, another one that's not easy. Now you're coming back home against UCF. A little bit easier of a job, I would say. Still not something that you can just look past, but UCF, they're solid, right? Beating Kansas, beating Cincinnati. I would lean Kansas State on this one here. It just feels like a letdown spot for UCF, especially with going back home and having Arizona on deck in, what is that, 3 days for UCF. It's a look ahead spot. That's simply what it is for UCF. It's a look ahead spot. I would lean Kansas State on this one here, laying the points -1.5. Looking at a few others, Northwestern is a team, they cover the big numbers. That's just something they do. They're not a team I would bet on really to win or to lay anything against. But as far as like covering, they covered against Michigan State. I like that one there. We were actually on that one. As a favorite, we don't like Northwestern. That's just the way it is. We will not take Northwestern as a favorite, but we will take Northwestern as an underdog. I just don't know if this is a spot yet to take Northwestern. Illinois looks too good. I would be off of this one, but I would wait and see how Northwestern plays this game. Then maybe be back on them for the next game there. Illinois is just very, very good team here. So I'm not too sure I would be wanting to fade them so much at the moment. We did when we were on Iowa, way off on that one there. And we saw what that did to us. So we're going to just stay off of any Illinois games for the moment. Vanderbilt, Texas. This Texas team, I'm not a fan of this year. But they're a gritty team that loves to have these great losses and great wins. I just don't understand Texas and what they're doing. I would lean Vanderbilt, but not comfortably. It just feels like one of those that this is the spot that Vanderbilt trips up. I don't know what it is. It just feels like, man, these guys are on the road again here, and then they've got to come back home against Florida. Another spot here where it's kind of just one of those look ahead spot type of games. I would not be on this game, but I would lean Texas with that number +5.5. I'd prefer if it was more of a 7.5 number. But that 5.5, like I said, I would lean it, not confidently, not going to be on that one tonight. That's just one that kind of, feels like a spot that Texas could potentially win outright and hand Vanderbilt their first loss of the season. North Carolina laying the small number here at Stanford, -3.5 is what we're seeing right now. Yeah, I don't know about this one. North Carolina, this is one of those teams where you don't know what you're going to get either. Are they going to cover it? And Stanford's the same way. Stanford is so unpredictable. I mean, against Virginia Tech, we saw they were getting not blown out, but they were not doing well first half. Second half, they came back. And then that last game against Virginia, just no show there offensively. So this feels like a game where offenses kind of erupt here. I would probably lean on the over 144.5 for this game. I don't think this is much of a defensive battle. I think this is going to be a game where it turns into more of a shootout and gets over that 144.5 number. I'm seeing something like a 78, 75 type of game here and get you right over that number. So I would lean the over on North Carolina Stanford. Nothing else really that sticks out. One thing to mention, Michigan is that team where if you don't know if they're going to cover that big number or not. This is their first loss of the season last game against Wisconsin. So how do they respond after a loss? That's going to be the question. That's why we will not be on it because we don't know the answer yet. We haven't seen them after a loss. We know they're capable of blowing out teams by 30, 40 plus points. Washington, I liked Washington early in the season. We knew once we got into kind of this conference play, it was going to be tougher for them. I would not want to confidently take Washington here to cover that 12 and a half. Again, we don't know what we're going to get with Michigan off of a loss. So stay off game for here. This is going to be one more to just watch and analyze and see what happens. And then Cal there, Duke coming on the road to take on Cal. I would lean Cal with that 12 and a half. Duke is a solid team. Obviously, one of the best in the nation. As long as you got Boozer there, you're good. But just Cal, I don't know. It's another one of those huge travel spot here for Duke, going all the way to Cal. I would lean Cal here this one, and then maybe Duke to just blow out Stanford next game. Just kind of feels like a spot where you don't know what you're going to get yet from Duke on this one at the road on these kind of cross country travels. So I would lean Cal plus 12 and a half on this one here. That's all we've got for college basketball. We didn't touch on, we didn't talk about all the games, but we did touch on quite a few. So the one that we are going to give out for the free play, let's scroll back down. And again, we're going to use Profit X. That's where I use and get all my plays, put all my action on Profit X. Let me double check here. We've got Colorado, Cincinnati. That's the one we're going to be on. I want to see what number I am getting currently with Colorado. If I can get an 8.5, I would take that all day. Let's see if we've got the 8.5 or if we're down to a 7.5, so we can get that one locked in for today's show. College basketball here, and let's find Colorado. Okay, I just don't see Cincinnati as a team that's going to blow out these guys here. So Colorado plus 8.5, beautiful number. Minus 103 is what we're getting right now on Profit X. So I'm going to lock that one in. Colorado plus 8.5, minus 103. That's going to be the free play for the day. The rest of the plays are going to be posted on sportbetextra.com, where you can go get your free 7-day trial, get your 1 week, 1 month, 3 month package after that. But just go sign up. The trial's free. Go see the rest of the plays that we got. We're probably going to have about 3 to 4 plays today. Again, yesterday, 0-3. We're going to do the bounce back today and go 3-0, maybe 4-0, just depending how many plays we do get in. But that's all we've got for today. I will see you guys tomorrow. Good luck on your bets and have a great Wednesday. See you.